that long ago. I need to find that.
The Ethereum levels that your girlfriend doesn't want you to worry about.
Yeah, the Ethereum levels she told you not to worry about was what it titled. And it had all these like downwards targets. Oops.
Can we just rip this bitch to 20K and get it over with, man?
Did you see how low Ape coin went? Remember when I said not to buy Ape until like unless you got like a reclaim of the range or something? If it took the lows, dude, it went down like $5.
Yeah. Did you see? So I was looking for because I know everybody's sweating this USDT and USDC thing right now because of Luna, and
Yeah.
I was like, man, there was this one, like, you know how BitConnect, obviously Luna, man, just is like a total BitConnect at this point, right? Like that's the only thing I like. All the stories, all the people who took out loans. I didn't realize people were doing that kind of stuff for that, but whatever. I mean, obviously people do this all over the place, but that's how I think about it. It just reminds me of BitConnect 100%. And then there was one, I mean, there's a bunch of these stable coins that do this where they're really not backed by anything, where USDT is somewhat banked compared, obviously. But remember Titan? That was the one. It was a coin. It was literally Luna in a nutshell. It was called Titan, and then they had a coin called Iron, or vice versa. It was like Titan was the coin, Iron was the Iron Finance, or something like that. Same shit happened, dude. Like it just completely went to zero. So it's not really something new. It's just obviously it's a.
There's the chart.
Ball buster.
I think Rivery posted a chart in the group that it went to the 0.5 exactly of the gap.
For which one?
That CME gap you've got right there.
Oh yeah, I was gonna throw it on the chart there. I know we've been talking about it for. I just put this on the. This is the actual CME gap chart here, so just pulled it up.
It was a incredible little move.
What's going on, people?
Where did I do that? I put a. Did I delete it? There was a single print on the Ethereum chart I really wanted to hang on to, and I think I deleted it. Idiot. Damn it. Sorry, I know that we're live.
Dude, watch your mouth, man.
I know, man. There's children in the stream. Probably.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I put my 7-year-old on in the mornings.
All right. So what did we hit? 25K overnight?
Give or take. Give me a second here. I'm reposting that Ethereum chart to the old Twitters because
it hit to the nuts.
Yeah. Every time, bro.
Magic's high time frame levels, man. Don't mess with them. All right, we're gonna get started here in a little bit, everybody. How we doing today? Good morning. Good morning. Flashbacks from 2017. Absolutely. Time frame. This is the CME futures chart on the 1 day. So we're gonna go over this a little bit in more detail. I was just putting a screen up here for everybody to join in with for your viewing pleasure. Right, we've been talking about these levels here, Mr. Magic Internet Money, so pleasantly graced us with quite a while ago, right? Had a couple things in the works there, right? We had our doomsday levels actually totally got met and melted through, which is pretty sweet. Next stop at the end of POC, right there at 32,000 wasn't held. Met that one, golden pocket, cut through that a bit, bouncing around. Now we got the gap fill below us, and then ultimately we got the 20K dooms scenario. So see where we end up.
All right, let me get my screen up here. We'll knock this out. Having a bit of a throw off morning. My the old doggo, he decided to eat my microphone, so hopefully you guys can hear me all right. Hopefully there's no kickback because it's a Bluetooth speaker, so it is one of those things. Hopefully you guys aren't hearing an echo. I guess is the
Nah, it's good.
Bueno. I'm actually going to try and get that. Yeah, Bitcoin, man. Easy, but by and large, expected based on what we were doing. So in the group, we talked about it, looking for this gap fill at this point, see if we're going to get it.
Magic, is yours on the high def? Is your video on high def?
I have no idea. I'll have to look. Hang
Yeah, it's a little grainy.
Everything should be on whatever the settings are in the.
Yep. Okay.
Is it getting better, worse?
Pull up your chart again. Yeah, it's good now.
All right. So you guys can see that we're coming into the gap. One thing I mentioned last night is this is really a big area to bounce from. Main reason being is, well, you have this gap that you're trying to fill out here. You've come down to close to the Q of it. You really don't have to fill all of this. And I bring this up because if you look back here, this is by and large a gap fill. Okay. There will be people that say this isn't a gap fill. This is, for all intents and purposes, this is a closed gap. If you were trading gaps, that is, and off you go, right? So we have done that before, so I wanted to bring that up. So, first and foremost, everyone's probably looking at this gap, and there's one other gap now available to us right below in the 19K region. I wouldn't focus on that one just yet. I would have this one on my chart, though, going from 34,455 up to 35,180. That would be the next relevant gap from this area. So it also tells us where we need to go price-wise. I am going to bring up a chart that we talked about last night in our private meeting after the members-only live stream where we talked about this. Basically, the members-only live stream, guys, last night, now that the information's out there, was, hey, we were coming down. We hadn't hit this NPOC yet. Let me get rid of all this. We had an NPOC here, and we just hadn't come into it yet, and it was, we'd front run it. Well, what we had talked about was there's no reason not to go tag that unless we're back above 35K or even 31,773. And that still remains the same. If we're looking at this in terms of the old range that it was in, it's right here, right? So this was the range. Okay, so this is a range that no one else keeps. So I'll be upfront with you guys. No one keeps these. Something I started doing. So this was a week, and I've tracked everyone. So you guys can see my object tree out that, but you can see I've tracked everyone all the way back in time. This is how I collect my statistics. And we've been respecting it, which is where we bounced to the T, to the dollar at the low. So we've now cycled the range. We've reclaimed that old point of control here, right? And we're starting to try to push up. The problem is, you're really knife catching trading this. So you should probably wait for some kind of confirmation, make sure that you have a valid low, and trade strength rather than trying to just knife catch. You can dollar cost average in this area. I feel it's a good place for you to start adding. If that's in your long-term plans where you're like, I don't care if Bitcoin goes to $3,000 or if it goes to 20K, I'm buying some Bitcoin here because I'm not going to touch it for 4 years, whatever your strategy may be, that's fine. But if you're outside of some order flow imbalances, maybe off the low of this wick, there's really nothing to do here unless you're just trading the low of this range, which is, I would accept it just because it's a range that I put together, so I'm happy with it. But it does show us that unless we're back above 35K, again, right here, quarterly level, again, right here, gap, really nothing to be excited about. That's how I would word that because that's just the way it's going. Point blank. Now, if we get into more like local stuff, we talked about this last night, so might as well. Still, this 90% members anyway, so we'll some tea, I guess, in the beginning while we're putting this together still. Oh, where is I believe it's in the algorithm. Actually, you know what? I put it on there last night. One really keep an eye on is going to be the 28,726 level, which we are back testing and failing at right now. This was your overall low from the previous dump. So you really want to get back above this because I did talk about this. I said, on November 28th specifically, I talked about this scenario happening because we had so much here and that this would probably be a destination. I gave you guys this actually, and then told you this could happen as well. And that's what predicated this box that you see here when I put these together. Really want to put a lot of emphasis here locally on this $31,000 region up to 31,773, same region we were talking about. High volume in there. Need to get back above. Otherwise, pressures onto the downside and maybe filling out this NPOC here. But in terms of timing in this move, we had two plans coming into the year. One was a doom plan, right? It was what I titled it. And the dog wants inside. He is not allowed inside after what he did overnight. So you can see how well respected this was. Okay, and this was our timing on it. Very, very nice. Getting the range perfectly, getting our high here, even though it was coming in towards the low. But, pretty good. We lose the correlation here, get our fib time dump, and down she goes, right? So this is no longer looking. We were looking for the chart. If you recall, you can actually go back on my Twitter page, and you can find this analysis that this is the most important level on the chart. At the time we were right here, I was like, we lose this level, where are we going? Probably down to $33,000, which we hit 32,903. Comes all the way back up, tags it, all the way back up, tags it. These are just high time control and volume points control. All right. So stuff from like merged ranges, things that I've put together, and levels that I gave while we were dumping. I said, well, we're going to settle up on these two levels, which we did. You can see these are perfect support and resistance. A little bit above it, a deviation, but once you lose it, that's where you dump, right? Come back test it. So that was the doom plan. And if we were going to get upside, well, this little box here predicated on these two levels was going to get taken out. And the only other important level that was given was 40,300, the level I'd been giving for over almost a year now, and ended up being the decisive level on our move down. So volume really kind of being the guide. Now, for the rest of it, this was the other plan. So this was the doomsday plan. Now it's marked as July and PSC here. This is a chart I put together in December with Paul and the group. So if you guys are in there and you've been in there, you remember this. But this is the timing of our distribution. It's been absolutely beautiful. This would be for option 2, and I'm going to get rid of this trend line so that it's a little cleaner. Option 2 was come down to this box, which we filled out again to the T. I think the bottom of this box is 32,822. Yeah, and the low is 32,903. So it doesn't get much cleaner than that. Back test. Up we go. Where do we go into? Again, we can cover levels here and say that this was the area on the chart we needed to get above, or 47,707 if you just wanted to put the 12M key level on there that we've been on about for a while now. There you go. Got to get back above this level. If we don't, well, not going to be good. So get up there, lose some range values, especially coming back below 44,000. Now you find yourself in this box, which is by and large based on some leftover volume inefficiencies. There's a gap here. You've got really great Fibonacci confluence into the 1-to-1 at 24,239. You've got a 2 spot right here, which is just an expansion, and your local golden pocket, which we could, in theory, toss on the 702 right there to 23,235, and you could really extend this down a little bit, but it's not necessary. What you need to understand is that unless price is getting back above the trend, so for us, the trend is going to be something like this, okay? Big trend, boom. And that's where those lines were coming in earlier. You can see that 34,000 is where that begins, but 34,900 is where you need to live back above. What did we just talk about in regards of the area to get out of inside of our old range that we were just speaking about with that 3M level, right? $35,000 was the area on the chart that was given. So that is the area on the chart we need to get back above. And there's just multiple sets of confluence here. Everybody always says, like, when will we know the bounce is real? Well, we just told you. We have trend that says that you get above 35K, things can look different. We no longer target $24,000 or $23,000. We look to target higher, especially if it's being held as support. That's the key. Held as support. That is when you could maybe argue for a reversal and that this is going back inside the range. Another chart that I'm going to cover again, because it's on my TikTok from in the summer when we did this. I covered it right away, but we got to return to it, is that's XRP. Speaking of which, I told you guys so. Anyway, had to say it. I'm not going to get around it. They're going to hate for that. That's going to be a really video for me. This is a pattern I put together in log scale. It used to be pinned on my profile, but I left it there. You can see that we came back up to the zone here, and we did tag it, and we need to get back above this box, plain and simple, right? This is where you need to be living above. If you're living above this box, okay, things are okay. That would also coincide with the idea that if we get back above 35K, things look different. So there are signs of strength, especially right here where you say, okay, well, this is showing like $32,000 would be the area to get back above. And volume does support that if you get above 31,773. Locally, when we were looking at those ranges, that weekly level, that volume node, got to get back above there and live there. Well, this was based on harmonics, and I know Scott Carney does them in linear. This is in log scale, but it's just definitely valid. This is just such a perfect deep crab. And this was the original doomsday when we 65K topped. I said, if this doesn't form a big range, this is the doomsday right here, and the target would be X, which is the log base 382. It is also your X spot right here. We've also got, as we know, the untapped yearly pivot coming in from 2021, right? And we've got the Q4 NPOC from 2020, all of it relevant right down here. If you guys recall, I believe, there you go. That would be it. And it lines up just so nice with what we'd be looking for. So if you guys are watching this, you guys are getting like a really nice, like a bunch of free analysis, basically, that's you're not going to find anywhere to give you why these levels are important. So market structure wise, if you lose this like little box right here that we've been working off of from this zone, the big trend, so to speak, from this guy right here, we lose that zone, which is coming in perfectly on time. This box was designed to be a bottom, basically. If it's not a bottom, then you've got a full-on meltdown in your hands. And if you lose that level, the next area you're really looking down to is going to be between 14 and 11K. To be upfront with you guys. So that would just bear that in mind. That's only if this box is lost. Because I had some people who were like, oh, wow, 19K in my comments. I was like, well, don't get ahead of yourself. We don't have to go down here. There's a lot of people saying that it's guaranteed to happen. Nothing is guaranteed. And we are coming into a timing on the chart where I have 3 times for this. I had the 11th, the 13th, which comes in today at market close, so tomorrow. And then I had the 16th as times for major market shifts in May, and that's where we're at. I'd be cautious down in this region. I mean, it could just keep melting, because our macro pivot for the cycle, not just this local price action, comes in July, if you guys recall. So second week of July is that huge time frame for when that happened. One thing I did want to do, because I was going to make a video, I don't know if you know who Crypto Bastard is, but he likes some of my content, so he follows it, and always makes like little funny videos. Like he's got some pretty funny content.
He's like the Donald Trump of crypto.
Yeah,
talk.
He changed his voice over time. I don't know if you caught that. His original voice was just a normal voice, and he changed it because he figured out it would get more traction. So what I had done with this Bitcoin, I think log scale, log projection, there's your log. I think it was I've got the rainbow. No, that's not it. I've got so many indicators on here I just don't use anymore. Like I don't use the D trend anymore. Let's see.
You got super waves in that.
No, I don't.
Market cipher in the back. I can see it, mate.
No, definitely not. Golden ratio, don't use that anymore. Is it this one? I don't even know why I have this one. Holy cow. What is that? What's that called? The log growth? Is it the growth curve? Is that what this is? Is this what I'm looking for? Yeah, there you go. We were looking at this in the idea of when we would come in on Fib times, right? And I made a video and a tweet about this. And I said, well, what's worst case scenario in July? According to this, it's $37,000, right? So this model, if it remains correct, right? You can see 0.5 and the 0.5 here, very nice. I mean, the levels are respected. They're based on fibs. But as you started to look at this, you could basically place values like so. I believe. And you could say, well, just based on time and based on if we only use this, where might we be at the extremes of one versus. So this shows about $37,000 in July, which isn't really that far off. And then October, being the 6.5, the golden pocket of this ratio, showing about 44.5, right? And if you were at the median, this is the idea that maybe we had a melt up theory, so to speak, not to in the term by any means, but it would be, more along the lines of what Tim was talking about, that like $70,000 to $80,000 Bitcoin, would be in play. But, if this reverts back to the mean, is I guess what I should say. If we get any kind of mean reversion between now and July after this dump occurs, like maybe we dump all the way back to these levels, maybe we don't. If we do get a mean reversion back there, you would be looking for, these values would be something to maybe get a gauge of like where we are in terms of price, and how accurate is this? Like, is this going to be a useful mean reversion tool where it's just an average over time and just a projection, or is it completely broken and Bitcoin is no longer in this up only market and we have to consider maybe that instead of getting a traditional cycle, we'll get like when we get a cycle and Bitcoin's going to go 200K. Imagine getting a super bearish cycle because Bitcoin's been doing nothing but going from 0 to 60K over 10 years. Imagine actually getting one of those and coming back to these values that are, to us seem ridiculous right now. And for argument's sake, they are. There's no sense in really going that route with it yet because there's nothing supporting the idea. Just everyone's speculating, just like there's nothing supporting the idea that we have to go back to like 83 or 96K, which, everyone's going to make an argument for. So more important to be a little more, localized and actually pay attention to what's going on right in front of you rather than not. Yeah, you got to have that in log scale. Otherwise, it's just high time frame stuff today, guys. If anybody wants low time frames, I'll leave that to Max, because I know that he's been trading the New York session. I have not been looking at Bitcoin overnight because the high time frame plan is just, well, we know where we are now. I'm going to let the dust settle over the coming days because that's realistically what we have to do. I think it's going to be a few days before we get any kind of idea that there could be a reversal coming, So we're at the zone, we're at the target, we're at the doomsday levels we talked about. Both boxes very well respected. This box was designed to be a low. So if this is lost, then I do believe you'll see these values here, and if those are lost, well, we can go back to that crab, and I'll work the timing out on that maybe while Max is talking and see if there's anything that I can get off of the new information, because that's really all you can do is look for that. So let me see if there's any questions from the peanut gallery here, and yeah, you can share whatever you'd like, Ethan. Sheik's calling the pet abuse hotline. It could be my mic. Keepers, creepers, ha ha ha. Looks like if it's my mic, it could be my internet. It is a little lag trading view for me, so I imagine I'm having internet issues. If it's laggy for too long, I'll have to give him a call and make sure that I get that taken care of. But I did want to go over the high time frame stuff as we're coming into macro areas, guys. It's just the most important areas on the chart. If my mic is kind of dodgy, I do apologize. Usually the playback gets better. I noticed last night the playback is definitely something that you could hear very well. Yeah, if no questions, Max, feel free to hop on, and anything you want to go over in order flow, or maybe even the S&P if you guys want to talk about that, or Paul, if you want to go, I'll let you guys kind of take over.
Sounds good.
I'll let CVO do the S&P stuff. So I've just got that brand new chart on it. But yeah, so order flow for the drop. Exciting times, really. It's been pretty brutal going down. Where could you have gone with it into a trade? Well, let's go to the crack timeframes here. If you go to the 1 minute and really get to the bottom, we actually spoke this morning about how I like to look at the trades count. If you can see, and this is the 1 minute chart, so it's really extreme here, but you can see right at the low, clearly you've got an absolute ton of trades taking place. These here, where you can see, you know, price declining on decreasing open interest, on huge negative delta, that is, you know, that's a lot of longs getting forced out in minutes. This is the minute chart. Okay, that's incredible. The amount of, you know, volume that you had every minute: 30 million, 11 million, 13 million, 20, 24. And then what happened? Well, you know, what do we like to teach in our course on order flow? Well, you're looking for that delta switch up to go from really negative to positive, and you can see it. You know, it's color coded, it really red. Then you get a big pump with a green candle on increasing open interest, which is crazy. That's, you know, a huge amount of longs entering here with a huge move up. You know, what's that move in a minute? It's nearly 750. It's about 500, about $600 worth of price action in 1 minute with green delta, a lot of longs coming in and positive open interest. Crazy. In 1 minute. Yeah, it was fast. So, you know, if you missed out, it is unfortunate. But then, as you can see, after you've had a really sharp move like that, you know, people that are holding shorts that have been pushing us down because this move has been so strong. The shorts have just been relentless. Look over here. Relentless shorts. This is the 1 minute chart. You've had 30 million of trade, $30 million worth of volume here, 6.2 million positive open interest with a huge amount of negative delta in that candle. Crazy amount of shorts pushing us down. What happens when they see a huge pump like this? You know, you've come into a massive area, the CME gap, and you've tapped, you know, the middle of the range that Magic provided at the start of this video. He also gave us that in the members stream last night. You know, once you tapped that and seen such a huge, you know, fast move, people that are in the shorts up here, they're going to be thinking, maybe I need to get out of the trade. And that's why for these next few candles here, you get the decrease in open interest while climbing. Because what do we know a short that is closed at market is? We know it's a long. And yeah, we go up from there. And the support comes in. You know, you get what you want to see for continuation in this type of thing when you started on decreasing open interest is you want to see longs come into the market. And you get them, okay? Look in this candle here, 17 million volume. Positive 4.8 delta for that candle and increasing open interest. You know, you're getting them, which is, you know, exactly what you'd want to see. Now, Magic says I've been trading the New York, you know, what's going on currently. I'm going to get off the 1 minute because, you know, we're not mad, man. It's been so volatile, though. It has been lush. But yeah, that's how you could have told at the bottom. You know, maybe you want to get out of your short, and if you're going to put the risk on, there was the time. If you want to be a bit safer, though, you know, where else could you have got into a trade? Okay, so you've come up, reclaimed the VWAP, which we all, you know, we know is an amazing tool that we should all be using. You've reclaimed the VWAP. Okay, so you've come down, tested it here. Could you have got on the long here? Yes. Where would your stop loss have been? Well, if we're using market structure, really it should be down here. But if you're going to be, you know, want a better risk reward, maybe this low here. Choice is yours. It's not my decision. But yeah, you come down, you lose it. But this is where maybe, you know, we spoke this morning about, I think it was side target, STD. I just call him that. It's so much easier. He asked me about, you know, stop loss management. Well, this is a quite cool example that we can talk about here. So I hope he's in the group or watch in the chat and watches this at a later date. But yeah, you could, you know, some people would, you know, maybe put their stop loss below the VWAP. However, if you're not setting a hard stop loss, and imagine this is the level, so you've reclaimed it, you're buying here because you're expecting this level to hold. Say this was a horizontal level, and you know, sometimes you'd put your stop loss just below that horizontal level if it was lost. But as you can see here, when you lose the level, it's actually on decreasing open interest. So it's not like a huge amount of shorts coming into the market. The volume actually does, you lose it with some strength, but it drops off. So what can you expect when, you know, you've got volume dropping off, open interest decreasing, you know, it's a weak break. So then as you can see, you come back up. volume somewhat picks up. Open interest isn't ideal, must be said, but you're back above an area where if you'd have put your stop loss just below, you'd have been stopped out. But it's reading the order flow like this that allows you to see that maybe you should not have put your stop loss there for one. But if you were going to manage it without setting a hard stop loss, that's how you'd manage it. And then the VWAP has been the play since then. If you just take a long, and you'd probably still be in that position until here, when you've come up, nearly tested the daily open. You haven't, but how could you have spotted that maybe this was time to maybe jump out of that trade if you wanted to, or take profits at least? Well, if you look at the right at the top, you've had volume start to drop off until right at the top. Then you get some short liquidations or stop losses getting hit because open interest starts to decrease quite rapidly. Even though volume does pick up, it's the shorts that have got stopped out there. So you could have taken profit there for sure. In the immediate now, though, we are literally, it's which one do we tap first, the daily open or the VWAP and previous day low? We've been coming very close to the VWAP, and I'm very surprised it actually didn't touch. I fully expected us to. However, I believe, if I just check my chart behind me, the S&P is pretty much pumping right now. So with that in mind, I expect the daily open to be tapped before. It's going that way, so it has to be said. It's going to be tapped before. But looking at the S&P, it does look like it's definitely going to be that way. But you can see here you've had a huge amount of longs push you up. Every test down now has been on decreasing open interest, which is good because you want to see open interest going with the trend. The trend is somewhat up on the low time frames, it must be said. It's really not on the high time frames, but on the low time frames, on the 5 minute here, it's somewhat up, and you're getting a lot of shorts entered here actually, that once we get above this area possibly could be squeezed, which would be help us get to the daily open, and maybe that fuel for further upside in this candle here. But just as we're getting above them and putting them underwater, interesting stuff. But I expect the daily open to be tapped here, and we'll have to see if it's claimed, because these shorts have possibly given us the fuel that if they put the stop losses here or here to they've given the market maker the liquidity to push it up. So let's see what happens here. Interesting times. CVO, over to you, man.
Thank you, sir. All right, so I put together this. We'll get to ETH here in a second, but I put together, which you can't see my screen on YouTube, a S&P chart really quickly. I really haven't put a lot of work into it, but just because we were talking about this on Debate Crypto one night, and I just looked at it again for the first time this morning as we were kind of peeking around, and pretty interesting to note, right? So this was the range that we were in for the S&P. Let me find the little ticker there, right? So same deal as Bitcoin and everything, right? We were in this range up here. We obviously dropped out of that. Right now we fell into the Q1 of last year's range as well. Right now we're holding above the point of control. We had a quarterly key level we came down to and bounced off of today when Bitcoin hit that bounce as well. So from here, it's the same deal as Bitcoin. You really want to see some levels to the upside reclaimed at this point to start continuing up. Otherwise, this could just be a bounce. And the most interesting thing, especially now, right, the 20K level for Bitcoin and all that, is relevant to keep an eye out for. And Magic has a ton of confluence that is down there for major volume reasons, not just volume, but just major targeted reasons why that could be a thing. And if that occurs, right, this is a big if, but it's interesting because one of the bigger things that we've been looking at, and when Magic and I teamed up back in December, we went over this back then at $52,000 Bitcoin. And one of the reasons was the untapped yearly pivot basically for Bitcoin, right? And it's right at like 20,600. And essentially there's really never been we've never not come back and tagged those, right? So I guess there's always a first time for everything. Interesting to note, though, that if that's the case, I went back in the S&P over the last at least 20 years real quick, and we have the same thing for 2020 right down here, an untapped yearly pivot. So that's the exact same percentage drop, right? If we were to see a move like that, it'd be another 20%. And it's about $3,200 on the S&P. And I'm not doom and gloom. I'm just throwing this level out here, right? So this is, at the moment, this is a pretty, viable target if we start heading lower here. That would definitely coincide with Bitcoin's yearly untapped level as well. That would be about a 20 or 30% drop out of Bitcoin. It's just interesting how those two line up, right? So that would be some downside stuff to look for. But either way, right, we did come into some support right here, quarterly key level. At some point here, once again, it's not to say we have to go down at these lower levels because we are coming into the bottoming territory, so to speak. Obviously, it's just trying to figure out where it's going to be. But I did just think it was interesting to note that the S&P does have the only untapped yearly pivot comes in from 2020 as well. And Bitcoin and the S&P obviously somewhat run together there. So they must have just both ran it up and never came back. But that is something to keep in mind. So just wanted to bring that up. We'll take a look at ETH real quick. And not necessarily real quick, we'll take a peek. DXY for anybody, right? I know everybody looks at the DXY. I do want to point out that across the board, aside from today's little pump here at the DXY, this was just chilling the last few days, right? Pretty much at the same level. So that the whole idea that it's 100% correlated, Magic brings this up all the time too, showing that, even throughout the 2017 run up, DXY was also having, a decent run as well. So it's not necessarily 100% that if the DXY is pumping that, the markets have to dump and vice versa. But obviously today we're getting a big move out of it and markets are getting a little pullback. But yesterday when we dropped from 32,000 to 25, we really didn't even budge on the DXY. So just something interesting I noted. All right, so ETH making it down, right? We've got previous range here, right? We dumped out of our earlier one here. We were targeting that point of control, ultimately rotate to the range low, got to bounce off of that. And right now that's pretty much all anything is at the moment, right? So we need some more evidence of, these things kind of having to, forming some bottoms here. And for here, right, you'd want to see some levels start getting reclaimed to the upside. This range high is actually merged into this other range. So, obviously continuing higher would be a good sign regardless here for ETH. I have had this yearly S1 on here as well, which, is back basically, the only thing that, really supports this one, not the only thing, but once again, going on the idea that if we do pull it back, and this once again, just big ifs, right? Like not worth panicking about right now. But if we come down, we fill those untapped yearly pivots, that would be basically back towards that 20K for Bitcoin. That's 3,200 for S&P. Well, this is pretty much the previous all-time high for ETH. So that would probably be the area we kind of come back down and test again too. Just something to note there. But for now, right, bouncing from support, and we will keep evaluating as we go, right? Solana has come down to our major $40 target, as well as many others. Right, got this quarterly key. This was our box basically we were looking for between $37 and $45. Has so far met them both. So within this area here, right, there's some smaller time frame horizontals below, right? So you got a monthly actually coming in here about 32, weekly, so on and so forth. At some point here, even for Bitcoin as well, like we're filling out that CME futures gap right now, right? To the most part, it's not completely filled quite yet, but like Magic was saying here, right, this is definitely a big bounce area. So if we do get that, obviously the whole market's probably going to see some upside here. So just the complete one candle to the downside, while that would be great to just get it over with, it might not kind of fulfill that way. But for now, once again, this was a major area we've been looking for pretty much back since February. And once again, that's predicated on this move up here, losing this area. There was nothing to stop you until you got back to here. Fun fact, for anybody that got into Solana early, I got out of Solana at $40. So it's interesting to note that it's pretty much back to my exit price. So blood in the waters be the shark. Exactly. That's the thing, at this point, you can't stress yourself out. I mean, there's nothing you can do at these levels, right? If you've been holding, I mean, look, you can, de-risk if you want to at this point, but the probability of a bounce, at least getting a bounce in the next coming days, is high, right? And that's the time where you want to be paying attention. Like I said, we come on here, we go live daily here, and we give some pretty important levels to pay attention for. Obviously, if you're in the group, you get a little bit more than that, and more frequently as well. A little bit like all the high time frame stuff you just saw today from Magic earlier was things we cover on the daily regular basis. So I mean, it's really just as simple as that, right? At this point, you got to know your invalidations and your confirmation zones. But at this level, you can't, and you do whatever. But once again, you're going to be positioned with the should I sell now? That it's a terrible time to be panicking and trying to make up your plan right now, right? Like the de-risking times have come and gone, in my opinion. We were really hedging pretty well, not only just for Solana up here at this yearly key level, but that Bitcoin yearly key level was big, 48K, right? So, and then even back to, the most of the group went short or, hedged out a little bit, de-risked back even at 39K. At this level, now you're in, this is just not the area where, you really run a big risk of us catching a bounce out of here. And then, you panic sell the lows, you probably panic buy, around the high of the bounce. And if this is just a bounce before we do head lower, then that's even, a worse time for yourself. So just keep up with it as much as you can and try not to stress yourself out, right? The market, it will come back. Or maybe we go into a super bear cycle like Magic was presenting earlier. Let's look at Quant. Yeah, Quant melted right through our $68 area. Let's pull up VeChain real quick. VeChain's about to, VeChain's in Melt City, right? Got a 1 cent area down below us there. And yeah, pretty much catching this daily right here. So VeChain is getting it for sure. We got a quarterly point of control right here that's kind of propping us up, but otherwise we are back in this old range. That range low puts us down about 1.8 cents. Let me see what I had over here. 1.8. So that's like in this region. So yeah, that's the next major, little hump over here anyway. So 1.8 would be the next major area I'd be paying attention for if we lose this daily. And Quant. Oh, Cardano was the other one that actually hit our little box too. Quant catching some wicks down here. Realistically, if we don't start reclaiming this $66, I'd be looking down to 41, 40 for that next major area. Obviously, that is implying that the market as a whole continues lower, right? So that's, we're getting Bitcoin, dropping past that 24K CME gap, things of that nature. So keep that in mind there. Otherwise, like I said, we start getting a little bounce here, even possible to run it back and get a rejection off of this range low again, right? So it'd just be important to pay attention to see how things react up here if we get that move back up. Cardano was one which presented a really good opportunity, in my opinion, just as far as a trade went. Nice short here at the range high. Once again, this was at Bitcoin's $48,000 high as well when we weren't reclaiming that yearly key level. Had a few targets down here, even just, through the range here. This was your key to, know that we were getting out again, right? We had the daily close back below this range after this back test here. And then this 72 cents was the big one we were looking for to hold. Losing 72 cents. And this was what we were looking for. So this move alone has been like another 45% And that's pretty brutal, right? So, but this is where we're at, right? We're hovering over at this weekly right now. Obviously, we can go lower if Bitcoin does continue that move lower. So, one of the biggest areas here for Cardano, which would pretty much set this up as a full retrace almost, would be back down to 13 cents. So, really want to hold on to this 30-cent area here. Once again, none of this is like a guarantee. This is going, it's just, really need to pay attention here for how Bitcoin's going to react and in the grand scheme of things here, right? But this was a big area, right? So if you're looking at, dollar cost average in for your, 30-cent Cardano, this was $3. Could it be 10 years before it gets back there? Maybe. But if this is one of those projects that, you're just dead set on, you probably wouldn't hate yourself in a couple of years if you got in at 30 cents. Who knows? Totally up to you. And what was the other one we threw up on there? Oh, Luna, just complete melt, man. In the group today, I put up a video that I thought was, I spent a lot of time last night just kind of poking around because I know everybody's really stressing and sweating, USD. I think that the Luna situation is probably the most fear factor, and for good reason. I mean, people lost their money too. This isn't just like the fear of losing your money. Like there's a ton of people that lost everything that they had in that. And, if you've been in the space long enough, BitConnect just comes to mind right away. And I really didn't even know what Luna was, honestly, until I took a deep dive into it last night. Aside from just trading the chart, right, over the last few months here. God, yeah, it's just done, man. It's effectively went to zero, right? On the way up here, right, we had our quarterly range, nice move there. Here was your short. Even if you got out the range low, that was the target, right? Obviously, it's just completely melted down at this point. And probably safe to say that is 100% not coming back. But this was, there was another project and several of these, because this project was not backed by anything, right? They're basically just arbitrage in the sense of, printing their own token or printing their own UST and then backing it up by their Luna token and then like just cycling back and forth. And we've seen that a bunch of other times. And one of which was this one, I remember this project now when I looked at this today, and it was called Iron Finance, and they had or Titan Finance, one of the two, and there's the same deal. They had a Titan coin, I think. It was either Titan coin or Iron coin, and it was the same exact thing, and they completely collapsed, man. And, that's not necessarily the same as USDT. USDT is somewhat banked and, been around for quite a few years here. This was, a 2-year project that out of nowhere really, crept up into the top 10. So, it's really a shame. But I did post that video, and once again, it's a YouTube video, so take it for what it's worth. But the person that put that video together really explains really well a lot of how to look at that, I guess. So Mana, right? So same thing kind of as like Dot and Link, right? This isn't the end all be all, but this is where at least personally I'm picking up some Mana, so I've been DCAing a little bit into these areas. Obviously we got a little bit of room to come down lower. Definitely a better buy zone than back here at $6. So that's just me personally, but for here we're still in pretty much just meltdown mode. A lot of these coins, are still just getting hammered, and especially with Bitcoin, not picking up here, right? So, Matic, really the next major level for me would be that quarterly key. I mean, we got some horizontals, probably nope. You got one daily level maybe right here, which we already pushed through that. So, coming down into this region for Matic would be the next stop, about 44 cents down to 31. Near actually, Near's still doing okay. You got to pull up some more levels here to the downside. Let's see what we got. I might not even have any pulled up here. Okay, right here. So for Near, all right, we got some key levels coming in. All right, so you got your yearly S1 coming here about 489, and then you got a quarterly key level down here at 383. So those would be the two next major areas I'd be paying attention for Near. Once again, this is just assuming the market just completely continues lower. QNT headed to 40. Yep, we were just covering that one. If anybody's on, if you're here on YouTube, just back the person that just asked about Luna, just went over Luna maybe 30 seconds ago, so you can rewind that. Quant is on there as well. I mean, that's pretty much really all we've got, right? So we were really just waiting to see, Bitcoin turns around, right? So we're in that territory, but we do still have levels to go, right? So it's just one of those moments here. Start reclaiming some levels to the upside. You do have the DXY pushing higher for anybody that, like I said, is correlating off of that. So you get pulled back there, and whatever that tends to correlate with a Bitcoin move if that's how you're going to look at it. And then ETH holding, right? Everything pretty much just got this, wick bounce here. This is the daily time frame actually. So let's take a look at what it looks like. Yeah, everything kind of got like a nice little wick bounce. So it, could just end up being a bounce. A lot of times we come back down, we fill these wicks out. Yesterday was a really good example of that for Bitcoin, right? When we bounced from 29K, 28.99, right? That one-to-one target got this nice little wick back up to 32,000 just about, and then just slowly bled right back down. This one right here, right? So yeah, it's pretty much it there. Anybody that's just joining and wants to go back, we went over a ton of altcoins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything of that nature. Internet money, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you want real quick here, I was going through your TikTok. I can't believe there's 111 people watching there, but I was going to go over Link and Filecoin real quick.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Look at if you don't mind, I'm going to hop over there just to get those covered, because I don't think we've covered them in a minute. Let me pull up Link, and we'll get that pretty quick and easy, though. These are only 2 charts. So everybody's wanting to know where it's going. So if you're in the group, you've seen these targets before, and we knew kind of the catalyst for that was going to be losing 930 on Link. We knew there was intermediate support here from just a weekly demand zone around 750. But realistically, you have an unmarked NPOC and EQ from 2020. I think it's underneath my Annie's. Yeah, right here. Looking back at an old range, guys. And this would be my target, unless Link start recovering again. $9.30. That was your Link value. We worked out the TPOs on those, if you guys recall, when I took it over to a little bit different platform and worked out the value areas. This is where you would be looking towards 930. Okay. You lose 930, and you can see what happened. We came down here, we even back tested it, and down she goes. So we're now looking to fill that in. So we've been saying, if you lose 930, you can see anywhere from $5 to $3 on Link, and it's holding true. So I think Filecoin is in my shitcoins folder. Nothing personal, just business, right? Actually, I think I built this one out in the leading crypto server. This is a chart build, so that video is up in the server for anyone that wants to watch it. There is a full breakdown on how to build out your Filecoin chart. I just got to figure out which folder I put it in. I'm pretty sure I put it in that one, but apparently I was wrong, so it's got to be in file. But the zones for this one were marked heavily, and we knew exactly what to look for to get there. And I imagine it's already done that. I don't trade Filecoin, so I didn't have any alerts set. I don't own any. It's just one of those things where it's not necessary, for me. Not something I was interested in. Just like DCing into a project just because it's beat down is not really a great idea, for lack of a better way to put it on Coinbase. Yeah, so this was crucial hold for 2021 right here. So you can see that this was the zone that you had to hold. And I think when we spoke about it, we said you really got to get above $34 or really nothing's going on here. And you can see we are coming down to probably about $5. You're going to come back down to this original accumulation range, most likely between $5 and $2.90. So more than likely, this is going to be the landing spot for Filecoin over time here. I imagine everything's getting pretty close to bottoming out. When I say that, even though things can get much, much worse, of course they always can. But just in the short term, I would imagine, everything's so overextended and so sold down that it doesn't go straight down forever. This is a pretty big capitulation event for a lot of these assets, including Bitcoin. Coming down to that range, it got there real quick and in a hurry, man. This is a very parabolic move down. So one could probably draw a nice curve, to the downside, just like you would have drawn one to the upside. Parabolic curve up, parabolic curve down. So that's all I've got on those two coins for people that were asking for Filecoin and Link. And the Link one is disappointing because I love Link, but I'll just keep DCAing into it because, again, I'm sub $2 cost average on Link anyway going into this. So for me, this is all a big opportunity to get lower, which I didn't really think when up here I'd get to see these prices again, but I keep the historical data on my chart because I know anything can happen, and that if it does, I want to be prepared. And so I don't have to redo the charts or anything like that. I'm literally now just trading this for what it is, DCAing into a good position, and when it decides to pop off again, I want to have a really good average, and I want to make those gains. I don't want to be buying in when the move's already approaching like previous resistances. I want to have already been in. I'm strategically buying, I think, at areas of value versus just throwing money to the wind, right? So, yeah, H-bar is looking bad probably. I'll let Paul cover that one because he's on that one a little bit. I imagine H-bar is down under 8 cents, but otherwise, that's all I've got. We've been going live for a while. I didn't want to keep it going too long.
Yeah, no worries. Yep. Just finish up this. Yeah, H-bar over here is dumped out of this range we were looking at previously. I'll put this on daily so you can see this a bit better. And right to the range low of the next range below it. So we were looking for this point of control, right? Obviously, melted right through that. And right now we're still living below that. So I would imagine we're going to come back at least to this range low here, and very similar to, Chainlink, I was just looking at the last accumulation areas in this region anyways. This takes it down to like 3 cents. So that would be the H-bar area. So unless you get back above this point of control, which is a high time frame point of control here. So this is about 9 cents. You get it back above that, obviously we can start looking up. But aside from that, probably going to come back down, especially when, with this kind of just being a wick to the downside so far. But, once again, the very clear validation of that is get back above this point of control, stop loss below it. Otherwise, you're coming into resistance right now anyway. So, all right. Hope you all enjoyed this update. I know it's it's not the funnest time frame for for most, but these times are definitely, we've all been through them. I'll say that. I know Magic's been through it. I mean, it's definitely not a good experience when your portfolio is just getting hit and hammered. But just build your strategy around this, right? So figure out, what you can do better, move forward from there, right? This is one of those things where at the end of the year, right, like I had to adapt once I realized that my plan for the end of the year wasn't going to happen, right? So December came around and I had to make moves, and we readjusted. And for the last 5 months, I paired up with Magic. And I mean, this has been, regardless of anybody in the group or whatever, has been able to act on certain things, like by, making themselves do it, right? If we're looking at these levels, we've been talking about 8 or 9 cents, at least H-bar all the way back up in here. Granted, right, we were looking, when we were in the range, obviously we wanted to hold it. We were looking for the high of the range. You lose that range though, and we had this area pegged out. He's got Chainlink pegged out for months. All these levels that we're coming into have been mapped out and discussed and brought up, especially with Bitcoin. So at this level, it's not, obviously do your best with what you have, but this is a really hard time to just now be, determining if you're going to make moves around these lower levels. So, that's all I got. We'll be back on tomorrow about 9:30 a.m. Eastern here. We did do a members only market update last night for anybody in the group. If you didn't get a chance to catch that, that is in our live recording section. For anybody that is interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord server, the link is in our information on TikTok and on YouTube. You get updates to all of my altcoin analysis, Magic's Bitcoin analysis, and altcoins as well. Max, who was speaking on order flow and open interest earlier, he does a really good job of that also. And then we have a bunch of other traders within here that's just always active throughout the day. So tons of content flying through here, pretty much 24/7. Otherwise, we'll see you all in the next one, everybody. Signing off. Till next time. Cheers.